What if the winning move is not a check and not a capture, but a move that pulls your opponent's piece onto the wrong square? Today, I've got six positions where Decoy wins material or leads directly to checkmate. In position 1, we have Frank James Marshall against Amos Burn from Paris 1900. Frank Marshall was US champion for 27 years and one of the greatest attacking players in chess history. Burn was one of England's top masters and won major events. This is a very clean decoy idea. One piece gets pulled onto the wrong square, and after that, the rest of the combination starts working. So, in this position, black has just made a blunder, and it's white to play. Marshall 8, rook to h8, simply sacrificing his rook. And now bishop is pinned, so bishop cannot capture the rook. So the only option black is having is king takes h8. Yes, you saw it. And the whole point of sacrificing your rook was queen to h7. That simply leads to checkmate with the help of knight. White simply forced black king to come onto the wrong square, which is good for white. And this is how decoy works. Hello everyone, I'm Aniket, an Arena International Master, and this is Chess Tactics episode 15. Today's pattern is decoy. A decoy happens when you lure an opponent's piece to a bad square. Once it lands there, it becomes misplaced or stops doing the job it was supposed to do. This theme appears a lot in the real games, especially when one defender is holding the whole position together. If you enjoy practical tactical ideas like this, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's move to position 2. In position 2, we have Aron Nimzowitsch against Semyon Alapin from St. Petersburg 1914. Aron Nimzowitsch was one of the fathers of hypermodern chess and the author of My System. Alapin was a major opening theoretician and the Alpine Sicilian is named after him. Here, the decoy is very direct. Piece is invited to the exact square where it becomes a target. So in this position, Aron Nimzowitsch has already sacrificed a piece. If you see, black is having 3 minor pieces and white is having only 2 minor pieces. But white is still winning because black's king is not safe. So in this position, Aron played bishop f6, simply sacrificing his bishop. And he is coming with a threat that is queen d8. And if knight takes, then rook d8 will simply lead to checkmate. That is his simple threat. So now black has to capture the bishop, and black got two different options. If black takes this bishop with the pawn and play g takes f6, then the game is already over. After bishop takes c6, b takes c6, and that is checkmate on d8. The game over. So that simply meant black cannot capture the bishop with a pawn. So the only option left for the black is to capture the bishop with queen. So this is what he played in the game. So black continued the game with queen takes f6, and now Aron has already sacrificed two pieces and he's completely winning. And he started the game with rook he1 check, and now black got some options. He cannot play bishop e6 because if he tried to play bishop e6, that's already checkmate in 1 with queen d7. So the other option he got is he has to play a different move, and he tried bishop e7, but that cannot also save him. And here, Aron continued the game with bishop takes c6 check, and his point is very simple. If b takes c6 happens, that is already simply checkmate in 1 on d8. So that is why after bishop takes c6, black continued the game with king f8, and that's it. Game over. Now he played queen d8, simply forcing the e7 bishop to a wrong square so that he can take advantage of it. And here, Alapin continued the game with bishop takes d8, and Aron simply finished the game and he played rook e8, and that led to simple checkmate. Now, let's go to the next one. In position 3, we have Paul Keres against Vidrik from Tallinn 1942. Paul Keres won the Estonian championship 5 times and is one of the greatest players never to become world champion. Vidrik was a strong Estonian master who finished third in the 1942 Estonian Championship. This one is practical and important. The key move drags the defender onto the wrong square, and this is what creates the breakthrough. So pause the video here. It's white to play. Find the move that decoys the defender and opens the position. In this position, Keres played rook to h7, simply forcing the black king to come to the wrong square, which is h7. Because if black king will not accept the rook, then it is already checkmate with the help of bishop. That is why Vidrik simply captured the rook with king takes h7, and now the fun starts. White continue the game with rook h1, and again, black is having only one option because if king goes back on g8, that's already checkmate on h8 with the rook and bishop. So that is why Vidrik tried knight h5, and now why do we need a king on h7? The point is the bishop is pinning the pawn. So it looks like there's a pawn on g6 which is defending the knight, but unfortunately there is no one who is defending the knight. And this is what Keres saw, and in this position Keres played rook to h5 check, and that's it, game over. In this position black simply resigned the game, and even if he doesn't resign the game, he has to go back on g8, that is simply checkmate on h8. So that is what Vidrik can clearly see, and that is why he simply resigned the game in this position. Now, let's go to the next one. If you're serious about improving and want structured training instead of random puzzles, I work with students personally. The link to train with me is in description. Now, let's continue. In position 4, we have Daniel against Alexander from Warsaw 2017. This is a modern example where the decoy is easy to miss at first, but once piece is pulled off course, the follow-up becomes much easier. And here, in this position, if we analyze the position, white is completely winning. The reason he got an exchange up and he got two extra pawns. And black is threatening to capture on c1, which can lead to checkmate. But it's white to play, and white saw something in this position and he played queen to f8 check. And now king is having two options. If king decided to not capture the queen, and if we play king h7, that will simply lead to checkmate on g7. That's it, game over. But in the game, he played king takes f8. That is not so much different. Here, white played rook c8. That is simple checkmate with the help of rook and pawn. So he got back rank checkmated with the help of decoy. Now, let's go to the next one. Position 5, we have Max against Gustav from Vienna 1903. This is another nice example of decoy. First move pulls the key piece to the wrong square and then only does the tactic work. Black has just made a blunder and missed something very crucial. So it was white to play and white was losing, but now he's winning because of black's last blunder. And yes, black wants to trade the queens because he got three extra pawns. But what he missed that white saw. And white played queen e8 check, simply sacrificing his queen. And now it's black to play, and black cannot say no to it. And black played king to e8, and now that was the whole point of decoy. And white continued the game with bishop b5 check, and now king is having only two options because that is double check. And whenever the double check comes, king has to be moved. And now in the game, he played king f8 and he got checkmated with the rook e8 checkmate. Or he can try the other option, which is d8, but the results will be exact same. Now let's go to the next one. In position 6, we have Joseph against Frank Marshall from 1906. Joseph was Marshall's opponent in this 1906 simultaneous exhibition, and Frank Marshall was a US champion for 27 years and one of the greatest attacking players in chess history. This final one is a very good test. The first move looks tempting, but still need to see why decoy works. So pause the video here. It's white to play. Find the move that decoys the key piece and finishes the attack, and beat the US champion. In this position, Joseph played queen to d8, simply sacrificing his queen, and here Marshall simply resigned the game. Point is, he has forced this bishop to go to the wrong square. And when this bishop will go to d8 to capture the queen, it will lead to simple checkmate in one, which is rook e8. That is simple checkmate with the help of bishop and rook. And now you can see, even the US champion can easily miss the decoy, even though it was a simul game. So that's decoy. Point is simple. Decoy lures an opponent piece onto the wrong square, and that one misplaced piece is often what makes the whole combination work. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for more powerful tactics and comment which position was the hardest and tell me what move you found before I revealed it. I will see you in the next one.